Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A recent interaction that I had with a devotee. There's all kinds of devotees. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Devotees are at all different levels, and all different realizations, and all different qualities and personalities. It's like you look at a field of sunflowers, and they're all sunflowers, but they're all different. They're all different. They're unique individuals. So I had this interaction with this devotee who is following, very intently a spiritual teacher. And they're like completely absorbed in following the spiritual teacher. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna's making the arrangements. And they were convinced that I should follow that same teacher just like that. And I was trying to explain to him that that's their path, and I'm good with it. I'm fine. I think it's great. Go for it. But they were just like at my throat, You need to do this. It's kind of like when a fanatical Christian gets a hold of it, and you're going to hell if you don't surrender right now. Why? Because they said, right? It's them. It's their thing. It's their. So sometimes devotees can be like that also, devotees of Krishna. So that was an interaction with a devotee who's kind of like that. So they were convinced that I was gonna just dry up, and I was missing it, that they've got the real thing and I don't, and on and on and on. So I tried to be polite, and just wish them well, and be on your way, please, give me a headache, just, go do your thing, and I'm, quit trying to, possess me. It was like, they wanted to possess me! I'm like, Hare Krishna. I don't know, maybe that works for you, and maybe works for some others, but that doesn't work for me. That never worked for me, and it's never going to work for me. To be honest with you, I don't really think it works for anyone very well, at least not for like a really long time. Maybe for a little while it has some purpose in it, but in the long run it's about self-realization. So, Hare Krishna, what's Madhu doing? Bible pushers and Vaidhi bashers. All right. Interesting. Yeah. So that particular session ended, and I thought, okay, catch my breath, and they're on their way, and I'm happy for them, and I can breathe again. But then they came back the next day. Same thing, only more intense. Determined. It was like a Gila monster. A Gila monster, it's one of those lizards. They live in the desert. If it bites you, it won't let go. Its jaws clamp down. And even if you kill it, you can't open the jaws because it close down. So it's kind of like that. And I was like, wow, So I finally had to just tell them, I said, look, because I was just trying to be polite, and they weren't getting it. They didn't understand polite and respectful. They didn't understand that. It didn't make sense to them. To them, it looked like weak and stupid. You know how polite and respectful to some people looks like weak and stupid? Well, I was trying to be polite and respectful, and what they were seeing was weak and stupid. So finally, just to get them out of my face, I'm meeting a lot of people like this lately. This isn't just one instance. This is happening quite a bit lately. So I guess I'm just too peaceful and happy or something. They think they have to, like, whatever. Anyway, they think I'm weak and stupid. That's what it is. They tell me I'm stupid. They actually say I'm stupid. That's what it is. They just think I'm weak and stupid. Yeah. You're polite and friendly and peaceful. You're weak and stupid. I guess that's what it is. It seems to be what's going on. There's a story about the snake that was biting people. And everyone was afraid of the snake. He lived near a village, and the whole village was afraid of that snake because he would bite people. And one day, I believe it was Narada Muni, one of the great Munis, I think it was Narada, he came through that village, and the snake surrendered to him. He saw him, and he was overwhelmed by the presence of a great saint, and he surrendered. And Narada Muni accepted him as a disciple. Okay, you can make spiritual advancement. You've surrendered. I just don't bite people anymore, that's all. And fix your mind on Krishna and get ready to go back home. I think, oh great, yeah. So he didn't bite anybody anymore. And slowly, the village people, they realized the snake wasn't biting anymore. And they made his life miserable. They made his life absolutely miserable. They'd go to his little home, his hole in the ground, wherever it was, and they'd throw stuff in there, garbage, and stool, and they'd call him bad names, and they'd make his life miserable. But he wasn't going to bite anybody because he was transformed, spiritually transformed. He had a snake body, but he wasn't a snake. And the people didn't understand that because their consciousness was, oh, it's a snake. His life was absolutely a nightmare. The people didn't, he'd try to go out of his little hole in the wall or the ground, and they'd throw things at him, they'd beat him with sticks, they'd jump on him, and poor guy, But he wouldn't bite anybody. He was transformed, he didn't bite anymore. So one day Narada Muni came back, and his spiritual master, and said, how is everything going? And he said, oh, I'm following your instructions. I don't bite anymore, but my life's miserable. They're torturing me because I don't bite. So Narada Muni said, I think it was Narada, he said, well, I said not to bite. I didn't say you couldn't raise your hoods and look like you were going to. Just don't. So maybe that's what I have to do, Look like I'm going to get angry at them, but I'm not really angry, just so they won't torture me. Oh, finally, I just had to say, I was still trying to be polite and courteous, and so they just leave me alone. I finally said, well, I'm really just not interested. Okay, I'm not interested. I wish you well, that's for you, but I'm not interested. And at that, they spilled a lot more poison, like, well, you're gonna go to hell, and I don't recognize you. You're not the person I used to know. You blah, 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 blah. All this garbage coming out. And then they went away. Maybe, if I could recognize the situation a little earlier, when someone, if I'm being polite and respectful, and they're seeing it as stupid and weak, then maybe if I could recognize that a little earlier, I could raise up a little earlier and save, some time getting wasted with this kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm slow to learn. It's because I'm stupid and weak. But that interaction reminded me of something I hadn't thought about for many, many years. There was a devotee, his name was Jayatirtha, and I knew Jayatirtha. He was the temple president in Los Angeles, 1974, 75. And he was very graceful. He was a householder. His wife Manjuali was the hostess with the mostest. She made everybody who came to that temple feel like they were entering her own home and that she was receiving them graciously. She was amazing, Manjuali. And I think they had a little boy, Bhakta Rupa. I can't remember. I think they had a son. And he was the temple president. He was a nice look. They were both very nice looking. They had nice features. And Jayatirtha was very approachable. He listened to what devotees had to say, and he tried to make arrangements to help everybody. It was a very nice devotee, Jayatirtha. But something happened after Prabhupada. Well, when Prabhupada left the planet, he wrote that famous letter naming people to take over very responsible positions for initiation. He was on the list. He was the only householder on the list. And so he started acting like a guru, which was what they all did. It's whether they were supposed to do that or not, anyway, it's very clouded in all kinds of confusion, that whole thing. But he did what everybody else did. He became a guru, and he started accepting disciples and initiating. They were his disciples. And then he went off the deep end. He left the Los Angeles temple, and I think he went to Ireland. And he had his own temple there, and he was his disciples. And then he really went off the deep end. He, in the name of spontaneous service, he was doing the most horrible things. Totally outrageous. They were taking LSD because they were spontaneous. And they didn't have to follow any rules or regulations, and they were having sex or doing all kinds of stuff. And he would go on the altar and approach the deities completely naked because they're all high on drugs. I don't know why that happened. Such a sensible, responsible, capable person with a wonderful wife, why he went crazy like that. He just went absolutely nuts. And he would do anything, and the whole thing became a cult. And I remember in San Francisco, I wasn't there, but the devotees told me. I was there, but not when this happened. The devotees told me that his disciples would come. I guess this was before he went to Ireland. He had disciples in the United States. I don't know. Anyway, it was 50 years ago. His disciples would come into the temple when the rank and file, regular ISKCON type devotees, this is in the early 80s, were on bowing down, dandavats, and they would jump on them. They would jump on their backs, start laughing, tickling them, jumping on them. So it was really kind of a madhouse thing. It was a lot of craziness right after Prabhupada left. A lot of insanity came out. So that was what happened. But in the name of spontaneous, they were doing stuff like that. And so it's really dangerous. It's very dangerous. To disrespect anyone, devotee or not. Especially people that are trying to be Krishna conscious, trying to follow, whether you agree with how they're doing it or who they're hearing from. there is like a big umbrella, and they're in under that umbrella, and somehow or other they're connecting up, they're chanting Hare Krishna, and to disrespect anyone like that is very dangerous. Especially in the name of spontaneous. So, unfortunately, what happened? Poor Tirtha feel really badly. He went really off the end. I mean, way out there, obviously. A disgruntled disciple attacked him. He was in the airport in Ireland, attacked him, and cut his head off. I mean, that's part of the history. So that was the end of that. So fanaticism in any way, shape, or form, has its problems, because the thinking becomes clouded. You're not thinking clearly. It's simply acting on impulse and emotion and thinking that's spontaneous devotional service. No. That's fanaticism, and it's dangerous. So I was remembering that that incident, which I hadn't thought about for like 50 years, that actually happened. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And what I think the telltale sign is when there's disrespect for devotees. No matter what level they're on, if there's disrespect for them, I think that's a telltale sign that something's off. But that's just how I see it. I don't know, maybe it wouldn't be the first time I was wrong. But that's how I see it right now. If there's disrespect for anyone, even a non-devotee, quote unquote non-devotee, everyone's serving Krishna, but especially those that are trying to serve, however they're trying to, if there's disrespect for them, to me that's a telltale sign of something's off. It doesn't mean it can't be corrected. It just, there's a fly in the ointment somewhere if there's disrespect. And that disrespect takes the form of, they're weak and stupid. So, there it is. Hare Krishna.